All right, so today we are going to start a new project. I picked up this Pioneer PL 530. I picked this up locally, popped up on Marketplace. And we'll kind of go over what's going on with this. So dust cover's in okay shape. I'm not sure what's dirt and what's a scratch. I think it's mostly just dirty, like tape and glue residue, things like that. This slip mat's seen better days. 45 adapter. Now I've already tested the functionality, so I know that it's working. But what we're gonna do with this, here's what we're gonna do. So the veneer is peeling off of this thing, and I think I'm gonna re-veneer this. You can tell I don't sound real excited about it in my voice, but I think it might be something interesting for the channel. So what I'm going to do, I have some walnut veneer. I'm going to disassemble this. I have my second bench over there, has to be free, but you know, there's really nothing. This is that really thin tissue paper like veneer, and it just does not hold up well at all. And it's ripped off the side here. Somebody had duct tape on this thing to try to hide where the veneer had peeled off. And there's just not really, I mean, there's really nothing you can do. And it's loose all over, and it's damaged, and yeah, so anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So today I'm going to, ouch, I just poked myself with something over here. I'm going to get started with disassembly. And I'm going to film all of this. I'll speed through it for you. But I want to make sure I record what I'm doing so I can see how this goes back together. Disassembling one of these, from what I've seen online, is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of stuff that can, well, there's a lot of things that need to be disconnected and then reconnected, and naturally it's going to be important to get everything correct on here. So hopefully I have an Allen wrench that's going to fit that. But anyway, on to disassembly. So as I take this apart, I want to make sure I keep all of these parts and pieces in little bags so I don't lose them. So I've got the Brightwork. I'm going to put the Brightwork screws in with the bottom screws. And then I think what I'm going to do is, my plan right now is to keep all of the major parts and pieces separate, somehow laid out on the bench next to me. I thought there was a screw for that one piece off the top, because it was not moving. So I'm going to put that in with these. And again, this me explaining to you what I'm doing is as much of a visual record for me as it is anything else. So now that part should probably come off. But yeah, you can see this is a mess of wires. And I think what I saw online was someone had basically, my phone's going crazy today, separated everything or disconnected everything, and then I think they just kind of flipped it right, kind of like upside down, and then they were able to get to everything on the plinth. So that's really what I'm hoping I can do with this. So, but what I'm going to have to do is separate or unscrew everything from the bottom. I just don't know how I'm going to keep all this stuff separate. So I know what screws go where. It looks like a lot of these screws are going to be the same except for the ones that are on the metal. So that might keep it a little bit easier to keep everything kind of compartmentalized. So anyway, on to some more disassembly. So what I'm doing here is I've got just about everything, I think, separated. Probably see me putting some of the screws back into their spots. I think I'm going to do that rather than try to separate them in baggies where I can. Kind of keep them all kind of in their position. I think that'd be the easiest. But there's a screw holding this panel here, and I need to remove this board to get to it. And it is, the standoffs were glued, so I don't really know how. I have standoffs that I can put in here that I believe will work. I really don't want to have to remove, like cut these. I'm just going to try to cut the glue around them, but kind of weird how they've got it pinched in here and then they've got glue to hold it in position. So I don't really know. Yeah, I really don't know. I don't see any screws here holding it in, and it's not wanting to move at all. So that's what I'm fighting with right now. Seeing if I can get this to where I can pop this board off. It looks like it feels like it's starting to loosen. There it goes. Starting to loosen up a little bit. And I don't even have to, if I could just spin it out of the way, I wouldn't even have to remove it necessarily. And I think what I plan on doing is I'm going to bring the bottom back over, just kind of flip this over, dump the innards into the bottom panel. There we go. And there's that screw right there. Like there are two. Again, what I plan on doing with these is, so these are the two. Actually, these are the four that hold this panel in position. So these are going back in the bag. I won't know for sure where everything else goes, so I'm going to keep everything else in a bag. Something here is sticking. Oh, that's the Tonearm. Okay, so I got to figure out how to separate the Tonearm. I'm probably going to, I have to disassemble that. Oh, dang. Well, at least the bottom's done. So, pulling the Tonearm out, that's going to be a mess. Man, I may have to go in and reference the Audio Karma post where somebody walked through this, because I don't see an easy way to get the Tonearm out of this. But I'm going to flip it over and take a look. So all this stuff is going to kind of flop around underneath. Put this back on while we do that. I really probably should have addressed that Tonearm first. All right. So here's, there's the top. That's the little lens for the strobe. Let's see, I think, nope, I don't think that's gonna work. Just looking at this to see kind of what might be possible with this. And the fortunate thing about this turntable is I didn't pay much for it at all. So. Be careful with these wires and these springs not to bend something. So what I'm curious about is I wonder if that tone arm, if it's possible for that just to drop. There's a C-clip or an E-clip right there. I don't think it'd be that easy, but let's see what happens. No. That takes, well, might as well do it. So we have 2 E-clips here. Got a little plastic washer there. And then that comes right off. Now, screws are so soft. There we go. Got to be really careful with the screws on these old Pioneers. They are super duper soft. Okay, so there's that piece. Yep. I'm putting all this stuff back together over on my other bench just so I can keep it all straight. Put this stuff in a baggie. These will all be Tonearm assembly pieces. I know this isn't real exciting. So I'm gonna do some more battle with this and see if I can figure out how to get that toner out of there. It looks, I can't tell. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna break that free. I see 2 screws holding something in. I have to see what those 2 screws do, and I'm gonna tape. Sorry for the quick cut over, but my son was leaving and he was talking to me before he took off. So it appears to me that there are 2 screws here that I really can't get to. It look like they may hold the tone arm in position. Not sure what this screw does, but let's see if I can. Sorry, I should probably be doing this on camera. And again, I apologize for talking through this, but there's a screw right underneath here. And I don't think that does anything. No. I'm just going to leave that there for now. Man, this is going to be a Well, I think that does come out. And I think this bottom would then kind of slide off. So if I loosen that, I think... Nope. Yeah, I'm going to have to go look at that Audio Karma post where somebody went through this and see how they got that tone arm out. I'm warming up my soldering iron because I'm going to have to detach the wires. Oh, and I guess I can just pull it up on my PC in the garage. So anyway, I'm going to take a minute, step aside, do that. Pull up the post on Audio Karma and see what's going on with this tone arm. All right, I think I have it figured out. The two screws that I was referencing that sit underneath this plate, if I'm understanding what the poster on the Vinyl Engine forum did, was they removed those two screws. But before I do that, I need to remove the tone arm wires. And I need to note the position. So it's, let's see, it's white, blue, and then red is also grounded, right? So we have two black wires going to, I'm sorry, not red. Green is grounded to the two black wires. One coming off the tone arm. Actually, they're both coming out through the tone arm and opening, and then there's one red. So hopefully let me zoom in real quick. Just again, this is as much for me as it is for you. Right, so there's the tone arm arrangement right there. Wire arrangement, that is. So let me get to desoldering this. Zoom out just a little bit. Desolder this, hopefully drop that tone arm down, and then get to the plinth. Hey, actually the two screws, so I was on the right track. The first screw is the one that I loosened. There's a second one. They're both hard to access. There are two screws that sit on the plate underneath, and I thought those were the two screws, but it's actually these two. These are very, very tricky to get to. But then this whole assembly will come out. At least that's what it makes it look like. So this piece here will slide up now. See how it's loose and it's sliding up? And then that will allow me to pull the rest of the tone arm out. So right now, I think I can start desoldering these. I had my soldering iron turned on, but not my desoldering gun. So let's get to removing those wires. Hopefully I just covered that. I don't know, my camera's acting kind of funky. But I remove these two screws, right, underneath here, loosen those, and now this whole plate will come up. So if I'm repeating that, I apologize. But now, on to desoldering the wires. Sorry, I probably sped through that, and I really didn't have to. I may have just left it in complete. But now, this whole assembly will slide off. And I believe, see the two screws I was talking about before, I think these also hold it in position. I think, because right now the tone arm is still not moving. So I think those two screws have to come out. Yeah, yep, that's what it was. So these two screws come out. I'm going to put the two screws right back into the bottom of the tone arm base, I suppose. And now the tone arm is out. I want to make sure I put these back where they go. All right, so there you have the tone arm. Has been removed. So now, all right, so now I'm going to have to remove that tape. Put going to put these underneath. And in theory, I can do this, and then everything will be just sitting down here nice and loose. Not the prettiest, but it should be all right. And I don't believe any of these wires are being bent. Yeah, I may have to look at those wires a little more closely. Can't really see from up here. Yeah, it appears to me the wires are okay. And now this will just sit over here to the side. And now we can start working on the plinth. Now I'm not going to do this today, but I'll describe. Oh, we got some more stuff I got to take out. Oh, and I forgot to put this plate on. So I'll have to put that plate over here. Forgot about the hinges. But what I'm going to do, or what is next to do, I need to remove the Pioneer badge from the front. And that should just pop right out. That's not screwed in or anything. You know, I've done Re-Veneer jobs on Plinth before, and I've always tried to retain the stickers, keep the stickers back. But that I've not always been successful in doing that, so I'm going to try to do that here. And then reattach them once the veneer has been applied and it's all good to go. And what I'm just going to peel, this veneer just comes right off. I used to keep this in case I needed to try to fix something, so I may throw this in a bag and keep it. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. Probably silly to think I will ever need a huge piece, but you never know. I could use a little bit to touch something up, but I think it would probably look pretty crappy if I did that. Yeah, this stuff is so brittle it just peels off. So what I'm going to do is remove the veneer. I am going to keep the pieces with the stickers. So let's see if I can pull this back panel off with the stickers. Yeah, it looks like it came right off. So I'm definitely going to keep that. Put that in the keep pile over here. I'm going to try to keep this one. Oh, you can't see it. This one up here. But before I get too far in that, let's talk about this Pioneer badge. So again, these typically just pop right off. Take a little razor blade. Here's what I'm doing here. Right, so there's the emblem. Get it started. And I did this on my PL 510. So I've done this before. But you loosen it. You can move it a little tiny bit with that razor blade, but not much. Just enough to get a screwdriver underneath, and then pop it off. What I'm going to do, though, on camera, again, more for me than for you, is I want to measure where those two holes are. And I've got to grab my... I'll use my speed square because this is handy. So it looks like it is approximately, let's do millimeters. Let's do that. So it's not quite it's like 3 1/8, between 3 1/8 and 3 1/4 in from the side. And then it is about, well, no. Let's, you know what? Let me just do that the right way. Let me move some stuff around here. I'll use this. Here we go. I got an angle. All right, so from left side, I'm in 1 3/4 inch and approximately 3 inches. So 1 3/4, 1 3/4, and actually 2 7/8. And then from the bottom, we're coming up about 1 1/4 inches for both. All right. So got that measured. And they're pretty easy to find. I found them on the PL510. I didn't do that last time. I was just tapping, and then I found where they were and, you know, kind of guessed and pulled them off. And then I got to figure out, I think I can push this up through the bottom maybe. That's glued in position. I'm going to have to, that might be a little tricky. The cartridge holder. Oh no, it's coming right out. I'm just pushing down on it, and it seems to be moving, but I don't want to pull from the top because I don't want to deform it. I may have to tap that out, but it's seems to be coming out. I do have some pry tools I can use. Yeah, I'll try to push it from the bottom, I think. I don't know if that's gonna work. Well, it seems to be working okay. There we go. All right. So, and I'm gonna try to catch everything when I work on this. Understand I won't be able to, I'm not gonna do the sanding over here, but what I'm going to do next, peel all the veneer off. I think you understand what I'm doing there. But then this is actually another, I don't know if this is some kind of paint or if it's some type of veneer as well, but this will come off and then I'll just sand everything down. This this coating here, whatever this is. So again, I think, yeah, it's like a veneer. You can see here in the corner right there where it's like a yeah, see, it comes right up. So this peels off as well. So I may just peel this stuff off, right? So it's just coming off. Normally I'd use a heat gun on this, but this stuff is just coming right up really easily. So I'm gonna see how much of this I can get off right now. I got about 15 minutes, see what I can do. And then I'll just come back and tell you what we're doing in the next little segment. All right, here we have it. There you have it. There is the plinth. I don't know what happened here. I gotta tighten these down a little bit more. All right, so up next is sanding down the plinth. Put my glasses over here out of the way. So I'm just gonna use my orbital sander, 120 grit sandpaper. This is a newer piece of sandpaper. This should be all right. This is really rough. I want to make sure I smooth it out as much as I can. I don't want to, it doesn't need to be mirror, smooth or anything crazy like that. Just want to make sure that it's smooth enough to where the glue will adhere and the veneer will adhere. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my mic. Stella may sneak into the scene up here. Let's see if she comes over here. Oh, she's just sniffing around. Dixie's inside sleeping somewhere. But I'm going to get this started. You might see the dog run once I start up my sander, but this should be pretty quick. All right, so this is smooth, and I did notice that there are 2 holes on the back side for the Pioneer emblem, so that's good. So I'll be able to get that lined up. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab the veneer. I'm going to wipe this down first. I'm going to talk to you about cutting the veneer, and then what I'm going to have to do to try to get this to where it's kind of lined up and wrapped somewhat coherently. Oops, let me get my mic. Here. Right, so I had a couple of pieces of veneer that have been in the garage forever that I'm going to use on this. One is paper-backed. One is, I guess they're both paperback. One's a little bit darker than the other. I think I'm going to opt for the darker of the two. So here's one, and then here's two. Let me grab my glasses from over here. I think I'm going to go with the, yeah, I think I'll go with that, I don't know. I mean, I got plenty of either one to do it. So I think I'm going to go with this other one. Why? I have no idea. I really don't. But I'm going to definitely flip it around this way. So the way this is going to be wrapped though, so let me make sure I've got the front towards me. So the way that the veneer will be wrapped, and it's kind of goofy on the Pioneer, and I mean if you think about it, there's only, since it's not solid, like it's not a solid piece of wood. I mean, this is kind of how the grain would be, I guess. But you're going to have grain going, you know, side to side on the top, and then it's going to wrap around the sides, and then in the front, it's going to go, right, it'll be like that. What I have to do first, though, is cut the piece for the back, the very back. Now, the piece for the back, I really don't care, to be honest with you, if it's consistent with the rest of the turntable. What I'm most concerned with is that I keep as much consistency, right? So I want to cut this piece here and then have this piece like this and then cut these sides. So it's kind of a goofy, I mean, you just have to plan for everything, right? You just have to make sure you're cutting the pieces properly and all that stuff. I usually just use a straight edge and an X-Acto knife. And then I cut them a little bit big. I mean, I'm not going to have perfect grain, you know, wraps or anything like that. But, you know, it should be fairly close. So what I'm going to do is I need to go and grab some kind of surface to cut on. And then I'll start by cutting the back edge. And I'll measure everything out, make sure I get close. I usually go about plus 1/4 of an inch or so, 1/8 of an inch. So that way I can adjust it. But I'll apply, what I plan on doing first is apply the veneer to the very back. And then, let me think about this. And then I'll do the top and the sides and then the front. Or it might be the front and the sides and the top. I need to think about that. But either way, you'll see what I do when I apply the glue. I'm not going to do the top. I'll do the top separately because I want to make sure the back and the front, right, those adhere well, and then I'll do the sides once I cut the top, and then I'll do the top. So I'm going to cut away real quick, grab all the stuff that I need. I'm going to go off of the lapel mic while I'm doing this because you don't need to hear me while I'm cutting this stuff. You'll just hear kind of the ambient noise from the garage. The mic here. I don't know if you saw me trip over my sander. I stepped on my sander. I don't know how I could step on my sander, but I managed to do it somehow. So I don't know if you saw, I marked the sides, right? So this is going to lay like this. So we got front, right? And then this front will be positioned like this, and the back will be positioned like this. And we should have semi-matching grain patterns on the front. right? The front and the back. So, and all I'm doing today is I'm going to attach the back and the front, and then, or no, I'm going to do the back for sure today, and then the sides, and then the only thing I don't know is if I'm doing top and then front, or front and then top. I don't know that it really makes much of a difference, but I want to. The problem is you end up with a little tiny kind of seam here, right? So do you want the little seam to show up? And when I say seam, you'll see an edge on this veneer, unless I can kind of work something around that. You'll see a little edge to the veneer, and I want to try to hide that as much as possible. But this is going to be stained dark. And then I think you saw me, I marked left and right, so that way I can cut those when it comes time to cut those. So I can actually move this out of my way, and I can move the front out of my way, and I put positional arrows so we know which is top and bottom. So I'm going to move those. And using this stuff is, I mean, this is typically what I use. I do want to mark, though, where the hinges are. So let's see. I don't think there's anything on the inside that shows where the hinges are. No. So I want to make sure I get these hinge marks measured. So I'm coming in roughly 1 3/4 inches. And once I get the veneer on, I'll be a little bit off. 1 3/4 by, gosh, just a little bit over 1/2 inch. So I want to do kind of a template. Yeah, I can't really fill the holes. Let's see if I can find them. No, can't really, they're too small. So, all right, so let's measure these. I want to get at least the top ones lined up, so that'll be 1 3/4 over. And then over here, it's 3 3/4. As long as I get the top ones lined up, and then from here it is about 1/2 inch. So I need to go 1/2 inch. And I'm going to assume these are going to be about the same. Yep, 1 3/4, 3 3/4. And then 1/2 inch. All right, so those are marked. Okay, so I'm putting those over with my, put them on the dust cover itself, just slapping the stickers on there. All right, so back to this glue. This glue is pretty easy to use, right? So I'm going to try to line this top edge up as close as I can, like so. Maybe a little tiny bit over the edge, but what you do is pop the top on this stuff, and this stuff is real stinky. There's good and bad with using this. You apply it, let it sit for 5 minutes or so, and then you attach your piece. You get like one, maybe 1.5 attempts to align it, and if that doesn't work, you're kind of SOL. Ooh, I gotta shake this stuff up. I may have to go get some more glue. I don't know if this stuff's gonna be any good. And I could use wood glue. I typically don't. I like to use this contact cement. So I'm just shaking it up here in the background. All right, let's see how it looks now. Again, I can go buy some. Oh, yeah, that's better. That's what it should look like. It was just like all red. All right. So, and I don't want to be super sloppy with this. but I don't have to be real careful either. So I'll just brush it on. Like so. I think you get the picture of what I'm going to be doing here. And I've wiped this down, blew it off with the air compressor already after I sanded it. But I'm going to cut away to going through this kind of quickly because I think you kind of get the idea. Oh, let me move the camera up just a little bit. I'm going to give this 5 minutes to do its thing, and then I'm going to apply the back, and then I'm going to let this dry today, and I'm just going to take my time on this plinth, so I'll probably do a side this morning. I might do another, maybe I might do the other 2 sides this afternoon, just kind of depends on how this dries. Once I apply that panel to the back, I will use my veneer veneer blade. Sorry, I'm over here trying to grab this thing. I'm going to push the bubbles out with this thing. And then I will clamp it, put a piece of hardwood, probably that piece of hardwood there, maybe some something to make sure I don't mar the veneer, but I'll protect it somehow, either with some wax paper or something like that. But then I'll clamp it at least for a couple hours until I'm sure it's set. And then I will, I'm going to cut the sides off, trim the sides a little bit. I want to keep these though, so I have an idea of how kind of where I have this centered on here. Make sure that I keep all of the grain aligned, but it's not like I can't align the grain beforehand and get it. So again, this isn't going to be like super perfect. So, I mean, it's a turntable. So anyway, I'll cut away to putting all this together here in a couple of minutes once that gets a little bit more tacky. And I'll probably just pick it up in the next segment after that when I'm doing the sides. All right, so next, so it's been a couple hours. Now I'm going to trim that piece of veneer and then do the sides. Right, so there's that piece. And all I do, and I've done it a couple of different ways, I will either take some scissors and kind of trim it, getting close, or I will use a straight edge and a razor blade and cut it. I think I'll probably just use scissors. You have to be careful with the veneer not to kind of mess it up, but I think I'm going to use scissors, and then I'll get my router and get this all nice and trimmed, and then apply the sides. Okay, so now it's just a matter of cleaning this up, removing the paper, take a little bit of sandpaper, maybe a razor blade, just taking some time to make sure this is all nice and flat. I got one little chunk up here I got to take care of, but so I'll do that, and then I will come back. I need to clean this table off, and then I will apply the glue to this, or apply the glue to the sides, and then put the sides on. Sides have been applied. I'll be doing the face and the top tomorrow, which to you will just be the next segment. So I'll do the front. Well, number one, what I have to do is trim this, and then I'll do the front, and then I'll let that dry, and then I'll trim that, then I'll put the top on, and then we'll start looking at kind of cleaning that up, sanding it down, getting it ready to apply the finish coat. So I'm just going to leave this here overnight, let this finish drying, and I think it's going to turn out okay. Fingers crossed. So in the next segment, we will we'll start to wrap up the Re-Veneer portion of this project and go on to getting it ready to finish. All right, so I trimmed the sides. I didn't get that on, I didn't record it, but trim the sides. You know, you do have that little veneer lip back here that I'm not a big fan of, but you will be able to kind of see where it meets at the corner of both. What I've done this morning to get ready to put the front at the top on, I'm going to do the front, wait a couple hours, do the top, and then I will kind of trim out all this stuff. What I've done is I've aligned the top and the front piece so I know where to position. And that front piece is going to be positioned about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch off of this corner here. As long as I get it close, it's going to look all right. But I have aligned the grain, and I may just kind of mark exactly where the corner is going to be. But you know, it's going to wrap around the corner, so it's going to be pretty close. So I'm not going to be super concerned with that. At this point, it's front and top, and that's all I'm going to do. No more commentary on this, just gonna kind of blow right through it, pick up all the steps, and then on the other side, after I've trimmed everything out, we will talk about finish. I'm thinking about, and what I may do is take a piece of veneer and do a poly, just poly, keep this unstained or unfinished, or not unfinished, but unstained, and then have some walnut stain, kind of compare the two, because I'd like to possibly go lighter, but because of this edge, right, where they meet at the corners, if I go lighter, this may kind of stand out like a sore thumb. If I go darker, typically it hides it a little bit better, but I kind of want to see what that looks like. So anyway, on to the front and the top. Okay, so here's the Re-Veneered plinth, and you can see my wrap is pretty dang close. Right, so The grain is, it shifted on me just a little bit when I was placing the plinth down onto the top piece of veneer. So it's off by like 64th of an inch. I mean, it's just hardly. Here's the side that's a little bit bad. Here's the side that's a little bit worse, but still it kind of retains the grain pattern. Again, it's off, and it's closer towards the front because it kind of turned this way a little bit. So it's closer towards the front than the back. So I've done kind of the basic sanding on this. I'm going to clean up all of these inner edges. They don't need to be perfect because, you know, the bright work is going to be placed on here, but I just need to spend a little bit more time cleaning up some of the paper backing, right? Because you can kind of see it in some spots, but I'm not going to do that on camera, and I'm going to have to use just some sandpaper, not my sanding block, as you probably saw in the last little segment. It kind of pulled it off there. So anyway, I'm going to continue prepping this off camera because it's just me sanding and making sure that all this is going to be good. When I come back, we'll talk about finish. We'll apply the finish and then discuss next steps after that. All right, I had to relocate. I'm using my old table saw as a stand for the turntable plinth, but I'm going to go ahead and start to apply the Danish oil. I'm going to do this in, I'll probably do a coat today, coat tomorrow, maybe coat the next day. Just kind of depends. I'm going to do at least 2, maybe 3. And I'm going to allow 24 hours-ish between each coat. And then I'll put a coat of polyurethane on it. I'll wait at least 72 hours to do that. So, but I'm just going to go ahead and run through the Danish oil. I'm just going to do 1 coat, and then I'll probably do just 1 coat of poly when I get to that point. Talk to you about that before I do it. And then hopefully we can get to reassembly, but it's going to take a while. All right, it's reassembly day. Now I realized, well, I didn't realize, but I did not record me applying the poly, but I can show you what that looks like here in about 2 minutes. So what I was doing after I had applied my 2 coats of Danish oil, I took some 220 sandpaper, kind of knocked all the nubs off, right? And then I applied some wipe-on poly. And then the, no, I take that back. I did the Danish oil, I did the poly, then I used 220 grit sandpaper, knocked the nubs off, right? And then I put another coat of poly on, and then I used one of these 3M little pads here. And then I did another coat, and then I did this again, and then I did another coat, and then I did this, and I did the polishing one, right? And kind of knocked the nubs off, and then did my final coat. So this has four coats of polyurethane and wipe-on poly. So really that's kind of like two coats of polyurethane, because I think that wipe-on poly is just thinned, and it's pretty smooth. I mean, I think it turned out pretty good. So you can kind of see the veneer wrap. I got the wrap pretty good on the sides, right? It kind of wraps around. These lights are really harsh, and this isn't a professional job by any stretch of the imagination, but it looks a lot better than it did with that crappy, real paper thin vinyl garbage that they put on these. So what I'm going to do now is put I'm just kind of getting everything ready over here. I'm going to put the bottom back on. So I'll flip this over onto the bench. I'm going to put a piece of cardboard down just to protect the finish as much as I can. I guess I can pop that in there. So that's in there. I'm going to have to rework some of these openings, and I did not. There are some places where, right, there are some attachment points. I'm going to have to drill a hole where the attachment points are. But that's not going to be a big deal. And this, I may have to trim this a little bit, because I just realized there's a little bit of a lip there. So we'll see if I have to trim that. So anyway, I'm not going to, I may pause at a couple of points. My intent is to really get this kind of into the new plinth today. I'll, you know, attach the Tonearm wires. So there may be a couple of times where I'm going to stop, but my goal is to get this done today or the next 2 days. So it may take me a little bit. I didn't get that paper off there either. And I think I didn't mention it, but you saw I put the Pioneer badge right there. So I'm going to go grab some cardboard and let's get to wrapping this thing up. Oops, let me get my mic up here. Man, I almost panicked. I could not find the strobe cover. And it's because I set it right next to me. And I thought it was somewhere else, but it's not there. So, you know, reassembly is pretty easy on this. So far, it seems to be pretty easy on this. I just need to figure out how this goes. I think this goes like so. And this will go in here like so. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of explain to you, whoops, that's backwards. I wanted to explain to you that reassembly seems to be going pretty well. Man, that thing is slippery. Let's get it oriented correctly and then pop that on there. Go on like this. All right. So anyway, I have to shift that over. Back to putting this thing together. All right, so as you can see, I think I figured out what I was doing wrong. You know, I just realized I did not, wait, that's 0. I realized I did not clean off the metalwork here. Got some crap on this I gotta clean off, but I'm gonna set this little anti-skate knob position. All right, so that's good. All right. So I confirmed, all I confirmed is that it's moving. I have not confirmed how much adjustment I need to do. So I'm just gonna take one of my crappy test records here. I know there's no slip mat and there's no cartridge, but I'm gonna hit start and I'm just curious, or what I'm trying to determine is where this is dropping over here. So hit start. Comes over. Oh man, that would be that looks like it's gonna be good. And now I've got it in the up position, it's over here, so we'll go down. Nice drop, come over, end of record. I think the end of record, I think I'm gonna have to adjust that. And it didn't come all the way back. So there are some adjustments I need to do to this. You know, I didn't let it go. So let's try it. Just leave it up. So it's going to come over. And again, I had zero expectations that I would do this 100%, get everything aligned. In fact, I think it's over just a little bit. So it's going to play. That's pretty close to the run out. It's going to pick it up, it's going to move it, and it's going to stop. So I've got some tweaking that I have to do underneath. It's a little bit too clunky, so I've got some adjustments that I have to make to that. So I'm going to do that off camera though. Repairing this was not really the focus of the video, so I'm going to tweak this. The Re-Veneer was the focus of this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to kind of flip this on its side and figure out, and I still haven't tightened, which might be the problem. I still have not tightened the screws that kind of hold the mechanism in place, that plate. So I think I need to adjust that a little bit. Yeah, I think it's probably that position there. Well, maybe I'll do this on camera and just see. So I haven't tightened those screws. Oh, let me kill power first. I don't want to do something stupid. So, and I don't have to get these real tight as I'm working this, but there's another screw right there that I can get to. Tighten that one. Like that one's tight, so. If I get it here, great. If not, I'm going to turn the camera off and continue troubleshooting. One thing I have not looked at on this is the condition of the foam, right? So there's foam, I believe, if I remember correctly, that's a part of the kind of the mechanism underneath, and that foam deteriorates. And the tone arm will not return all the way to the stand. So we may have to look at that. And if I do have to replace that, I know I've covered it in another 530 video. So again, I don't like doing, things I've done before. So let's see what that does for us. And then again, I'll just keep tweaking. Oh, this is set to, it wasn't even set to 33. Let's, all right. Okay. So start. Yeah, I got some bugs to work out here. Yeah, because that's not really doing anything. And that's off there. I just want to see if it'll come back to the base now. Nope, still stopping. All right, so I got some stuff I got to sort out underneath. So anyway, I'm not going to record that. I will just keep plugging away until I get it figured out. Probably tell you what I did once I do figure that out. But now it's just a matter of making sure that everything I got going on underneath is in the right spot. So I'll come back when I get that sorted out. All right, ready to test for sound. It took me about an hour to figure out what was going on. Had one plate misaligned, and it took me a while to figure out which plate it was. So it should work. I'm sure it's going to make a liar out of me because that's what happened. Now I still have to clean up the slip mat, and I realized I don't have my mic on, so let me grab that real quick. Hopefully you could hear what I was saying. But basically it was misaligned. Figured that out. This, again, the slip mat needs to be cleaned if I can salvage it. I have a couple of these old Pioneer slip mats. So I'm just going to do kind of a poor man's tracking adjustment on this. I still need to do some cleanup on the tone arm. Just cosmetic stuff at this point. All right, so first, phono 1, turn this on, see if I get some hum. Hopefully not. No hum. All right, set to 12 inch. Fire in the hole. Oh, gotta adjust that. I hear sound though. I forgot to. Hey. Some Jimi Hendrix. Nice. All right, so I'm gonna go up. So I need to adjust that for sure. That's way too low. When I was troubleshooting it, I didn't have a cartridge on it. So I dropped the Tonearm stand down as far as it would go to help me troubleshoot. And I need to lift that back up a little bit. All right, let's see. Ooh, that's still too close. And there's just a little bit of an adjustment screw right here. And I'm looking for about 10 millimeters. And that's about 10 millimeters right there. So let's see where the run out is. Let's see.
He's right there sometime.
Jimi Hendrix's dad answering questions about him. Now, one thing that is curious to me, I may have to raise that up just a little bit. Yep, that's what I thought. The little Tonearm guide looks to be bent a little bit downward. So I'm not sure what happened there. Sure, it's when I was manhandling it. So that doesn't drop it down far enough. So I'm going to sort this out, but we have sound, and that's what I wanted to check in this little segment. So we have sound, we have good operation. I've got to tweak whatever's going on with this. So there it's good, there, and then it kind of drops towards the middle of the record. And it looks to me as though maybe the Tonearm, I think it's sitting a little bit, it's not, I think one of these screws isn't pulling it up high enough. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. And then I'm also going to put the hinges on the back. I'm gonna clean this slip mat up. And I think I'm going to come back with the finished product, minus any last minute cosmetic cleanup. But I think I have an understanding of what's going on with this Tonearm. It's kind of dipping to one side, so I think I have to adjust that up. Something's loose underneath there. I can see it. All right. So I will come back to finish this up. There's some kind of bug that just flew by me. And good thing I kept my little guides for the hinges, for the dust cover. So, all right, let's get this thing adjusted and get it out of my hair. All right, so the slip bad's not cleaning up as well as I'd hoped it would. So I don't know about that one. I do have this other one. I believe this is Pioneer. I lose the ring, I think. I think these are the same size. Yeah, those are, well, this one's a little bit larger, but we lose that Pioneer ring, so I'm not sure what this is from, but. So I may continue to work on trying to clean this up, but I want to show you, I'll just leave the nice mat on, and my workbench has just, I don't like it being this messy. Been trying to keep it clean, but I've got so many projects. I don't know if I mentioned in an earlier segment of this video, but 402 Vinyl just got like 20 pieces of gear in, so I've just been going pretty crazy on that stuff. So this was a fun project. I don't ever want to do it again, but it was a fun project, and I like the final product. I like the wood veneer. I need to clean it up a little bit. There's one little, I need to fix this corner here. It just started to lift just the tiniest bit right there. Then hit that with some CA glue, some super glue, and that should be good. Sorry, my mic is hindering me right now. The dust cover cleaned up really well. I'm really pleased with the dust cover. And I have to wipe this down, but I got that really... I spent a lot of time on this one just with the orbital. See, there's my damn mic thing. With the orbital buffer. And it looks like I didn't really get the inside cleaned up as much as I would have liked. But again, I'll clean this again. But gosh, that Novus sure likes to kind of bleed down the sides of these. But anyway, I think the dust cover looks really, really good. Considering the shape it was in before. I think the turntable looks better than it did. Kind of, again, considering the shape it was in before. With the veneer that was lifting. I'm going to put a couple little clear plastic pegs down here. For that. But yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Not enough to keep it. I'm not a fan of the PL530. I think they're kind of clunky. I'm going to do a gear review on this one, and I'll talk about that. The gear review may or may not come out before this. I've kind of lost where I'm at in that whole queue. Yeah, I got to clean this. So actually, this dust cover will clean up just a little bit better than it is right here. I think that's all crap on the inside. But anyway, that was the Pioneer PL 530 Re-Veneer. Again, don't want to ever do it again. It wasn't nearly as painful as I thought it was going to be. I really hope I can clean that up and get that back on there. I'm almost positive I have one of these somewhere. Hell, I may just put a cork mat on it or just leave this one on it. Works for me either way. So anyway, hopefully you guys like this little project I did. I'm sure I'll get lots of comments. Why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why did you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? You know, just one of the joys of having a YouTube channel. Critics will come out and they'll say all their stuff. So anyway, hope you liked it. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.